What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Blue River Bow Hunting Podcast, episode 70. It's been so much fun getting back into this. I kind of miss being back behind the mic and getting to talk deer hunting and turkey hunting with everybody every week. But this episode's been about a year in the making.
Exactly.
My guest this week, Zack York. We met at the Deer and Turkey Expo last year and in Indy. Communicated back and forth, was going to do a podcast last year, and then he had a baby. So we finally got some free time for him to jump on. But what's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going, man? It's great to be here with you guys. I'm excited to get it rolling.
For sure, man. It's and it's crazy because that is almost a year, because that's coming up pretty quick.
Time is flying way too fast. You said, I mean, a year ago, we were 3 months away from having the little one, and he's 9 months old now. So it's
Right.
it's crazy. And we're about to the Deer and Turkey Expo already.
I know. I can't wait. I talk about it, I think, about once a week. Last year was my first year working it like that, and then with Exact Archery, and then he's got some new products out and several other additions to his lineup, which is going to be kind of cool for me to kind of, be behind the the merchandise, so to speak. It's a whole lot different to shoot their arrows. It's a whole nother story to be out there selling them.
Yeah, no, exactly. And people are going to see the same face that they saw last year, and just be able to move more product that way.
I hope so, man. I'm looking forward to it. But for somebody that don't know you, Zach, introduce yourself a little bit.
All right, I'm Zack York. East Central Indiana has pretty much been my home my whole entire 31 years of living. So never really moved out, but this is my core area. Like Brett was saying, we just had a baby last March. My wife Morgan and I, little Bo. So it's so cool, man. I work with Base Camp Country Real Estate as a land professional, real estate agent, and pretty much the outdoors. If we're not at a family function, a friend function, we're doing habitat work, hunting. Just that's the way we live.
I love it, man. I love people that have their entire existence around the outdoors and in the outdoor industry. It's always cool to get to talk to those people. And with you being a part of Base Camp, I've never really gotten to talk to anybody when it comes to land management and real estate and recreational properties as a whole. I think it's a pretty cool topic to bring up. With it seems like that part of the industry is pretty booming, or am I wrong?
Yeah, no, it definitely is, man. Especially with COVID hitting, everybody in the city is wanting to be able to harvest their own meat, not go to the grocery store, and just be outside of the city, having a little bit of freedom and fresh air. Really, I mean, boils down to it. And we're definitely benefiting from that, seeing the swing into the rural living, I guess you could say. And it's definitely not a bad thing for the real estate side when we get to help our clients out.
Absolutely. And you said you started that about 4 years ago. How exactly did that all come together with them and you getting into that stuff?
Yeah, like you said, 4 years ago, my father-in-law worked for another, I guess, hunting real estate company.
Mm-hmm.
And he got approached to take over the national sales manager job, and so he took that. And my wife Morgan is she's pretty much the brains of the office side of everything. So everything goes through my wife, and it just kind of, I don't want to say handed to, because I hate getting handed things,
Right.
but it got presented to me to take over Central Indiana, and I definitely wasn't going to say no.
Absolutely. That sounds like a pretty good gig. Is Central Indiana, what is that, just like a certain counties, or just in general?
We've all got, because when you see like residential, it would be a good example. You see like FC Tucker. I don't really want to name it, but
Right. Yeah.
you see those
Different
people, and
company.
there's like 35 people located in one little town or one little city.
Mm-hmm.
Their structure is really cool because I've got to myself for listings. I've got 12 different counties. So like Boone down to Morgan, over to Shelby, and back up to Madison. So that whole square is my territory,
Right.
which is really really cool. Which of course I can't be in 12 places at one
All
time,
right.
but that's part of the fun of it.
I would say with some of the counties that you just named, I bet some of the fun of it would be how drastic of a change those properties can be from like what you said, Boone up top where you really flat and patch woods down to Morgan where you got some rolling hills and some pretty thick hardwoods.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's totally flat, and then you get down into like you said, Morgan, Monroe, Brown, Bartholomew. It's that's kind of God's country.
Oh
It,
yeah.
it reminds you so much of Kentucky,
Mm-hmm.
because you start to get the terrain change. It's not just like a little hill here and there. It's pretty drastic.
Yeah, for sure. And I apologize if I ask stupid questions when it comes to this kind of stuff because I'm just kind of new to all that sort of stuff. So I'm probably going to be asking you questions like all over the board when it comes to this.
Oh, you're
so don't
good.
so
You
don't
are
be
good.
annoyed with me.
Hopefully, I have the answer.
As far as those counties go, what do you think your most popular county as far as properties?
Definitely Brown. You've got Nashville. That's pretty much the core of Brown County. I don't know if you've been to Nashville.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Some big woods.
it's yeah. Woods is definitely fun. They've got the outdoor entertainment there,
Yeah.
which is really really cool. Be able to sit outside in the fall. We used to have a lease pretty close to there, and we'd pop in from time to time in the afternoons, and there'd be live music and campfire, and it was good. Um, but then there's a really fine line too. So you've got Johnson County, Marion County, all of that. Land prices because it's right outside the city, and so much dang concrete jungles are going up
Oh no.
that it's kind of insane what the price per acre is. But once you start getting down to those counties, it's a lot more affordable for somebody trying to get out of the city or just move over a county or find some rec ground because not if with the elevation change, some places you can't build on, so it strictly is recreational area.
Right. What's a county or what I mean we'll say Brown since you named that one. What's a per acre going for right now down there?
We've got right now kind of a shameless plug, but we've got 83.66 acres for it's right around 8,000 an acre. But that's a buildable property.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Recreational ground is probably going to go for like 55 to 6 in that area right now, and
Mm-hmm.
that could be 5 acres, it could be 20, it could be 100. But a lot of the properties down there, people are wanting to get either out of Indy or Bloomington, so they're really looking for home building sites. So that could be 8 to 12,000 an acre, just depending on the size of the property.
Right. And down there they don't just get whitetails, they get some turkeys down there.
Yes, yep. That's I actually shot my very first turkey 6 years ago in Brown County, and
Nice.
honestly, that was the first time I'd ever been turkey hunting.
Mm-hmm.
I Tom had invited me, and I'd never been before, and I'd even have camos because when I first met Morgan, I wasn't like super into it like I am now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of embarrassing. I went to Walmart, I found some camo scrubs, and I just had like a regular camo sweatshirt, and we went out, and I got my first turkey, and uh, the addiction began.
Oh, absolutely. And there's no shame in some Walmart camo, so to speak. You got to start somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
And into you doing what you do now, and I'm sure you got a lot nicer stuff than Walmart camo now. It's kind of cool to see that whole story kind of come together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a cool thing about the outdoors and just like hunting. The story the story doesn't end until you do.
Yeah, right.
It's hard to end the chapter. I guess it's hard to end the book. There's plenty of chapters, but
hmm So, this may be a stupid question. Like I said, I'm gonna be kind of all over the board with this because it's my first time kind of covering the subject. But for somebody that went to or goes to base camp, maybe that they find you on the website or something like that. Why would someone choose you for you to find a property for them?
no,
Kind of sales
absolutely.
pitch for yourself.
No, that's a great question. We're pretty, like I said, we're pretty fortunate for our territory, so it really lets us hone down on, um, like we're gonna know county wise what to be looking for because everybody's got 4 to 5 plus years of experience now, and
Mhm.
we've pretty much all had deals in all of our counties, and being able to do this, we're always looking. Aside from that as well, we've got it's so cool to be able to have the 7 or 8 guys we do in Indiana, even though we're spread out throughout the Midwest. But we're such a tight knit core that, I mean, it's pretty rare to go a week without talking to at least every single person on the team. It's just family, and if you don't talk to them for a couple of weeks, it picks right back up. But
Mm.
with that, we've got so many resources, that have experience, not just real estate, but our guy up in Northwest Indiana, Pat McFadden, he was the president of the NWTF in Indiana for a while, sat on the national board. My father-in-law, Tom James, he's really big through the management advantage. They do a lot of habitat stuff. Dean over in East Central Indiana, he's um, got a lot of experience that not only killing big deer but also habitat. He's a really big chestnut guy, um, and it really boils down to what you can do with a property and having all of those resources, to be able to help manage better your investment. I I don't see why you would go with anybody else, but that's just me. That's just me.
So not only do they buy the property through you, but you help them manage the property as well.
Not necessarily, but being able to put that vision into somebody's head. And
hmm
when we have clients, it's not just we don't really like sign off and grab our check and run.
Right.
It's so crazy getting phone calls, and like I said, Tom's been doing this for 10 years plus, and he's still talking to people that he helped day one, asking them habitat questions and what they should do and stand sit ups, and that's we've got so many, apps and tools as well to be able to visually show somebody. If there's a south wind, I'd sit the stand here, or man, look at this little clearing. That was probably clear cut 5 years ago. You should put a plot here. Just like being able to visually show somebody when you're walking a property is a lot better, for us because um, we're not getting stuck in the mud. We can move around that mud puddle and really let somebody envision what they're about to buy.
So when somebody comes to you, do you say like, all right, you need to write this down as in things that you are looking for in a property, like what you really want most out of something, say a river or something, or moving water, compared to maybe having tillable acres or something like that. You have them kind of get something like that ready when you're looking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's I don't necessarily have like a specific checklist, but that's exactly what we would do. Really, you kind of find out what area they're looking for in the state, and even though I'm in Central Indiana, it's not if a buyer wants to see something down by the river. I mean, I'm not opposed to going down there because one, it's a pretty view, and two, I'm still
Right.
gonna be able to help them. But yeah, we kind of buckle down the price range if they've been pre-approved before.
Hmm.
And usually those last like 90 to 180 days. So um, within that 6 month period, you usually see a property pop up that you're going to like. And it's boils down to when you walk a property with somebody that ends up buying it, it's because it's you they've got smiles
You're right. You
from
see
ear
the
to
light bulbs
ear.
going off.
Yep, exactly. And it's so cool to see that, because then I'm smiling ear to ear. We're like, yeah, let's really pumped up, start making the plans. And um, yeah, that's it's a lot of people are I think afraid, because man, that's a lot of money. But
For sure.
if you look at it in the long run, it's a great investment. They're not making any more of it. Um, the, Come and take it, I guess. And if they do that, if you're going to buy a property, you're probably not going to take it from them.
Right. How many people get a hold of you that maybe when they do, you can kind of tell like maybe you're not ready for this, maybe you don't have your finances in order, but they kind of still come at you with trying to get something set up.
Yeah, doing it since I've been doing it a decent amount of time, and just hearing stories from everybody else, you can kind of wean out the people that are serious and the people that are just going to kind of kick tires and drag you all over the state to look for a property just to look. Um, it's happened more than once. I remember a specific. I think it was my first year, so I'm still gung ho, but I was like, I mean, I was working
Super
hard.
green.
Yep. And I had some people. I had a listing out in Clay County, and some people were like, "Yeah, I think we're gonna buy it. Let's meet out there Saturday." Clay County from Newcastle
Yeah, it's a drive.
is 2 hours. Yeah, a little
Yeah.
over 2 hours. And I pulled in and waited about an hour and gave him a call. No answer. Waited another hour, and just packed up the truck and went home.
Oh
Like two
man.
days later, it was like, "Hey, I'm sorry, something came up. Let's meet this Saturday."
Nope.
Oh boy. Same thing happened. And that was a pretty good learning experience, because I mean, like I said, you can wean out the people that are serious and the people that are just gonna drag you all over, like I said.
Yeah, you can probably tell what in the first just couple minutes of talking to them how serious they are, kind of how they know, maybe know their stuff when it comes to a lot
Yep.
of interest rates and pre-approvals and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, perfect storm as far as properties go. What is a property if you could put all the everything that you like that you would like to have in one property? What would it be?
Man. Oh, for me, I think everybody, if it's not, it probably should be. Number one would definitely be access,
Hmm.
because I mean, just like if you're hunting public, you've that access is going to be key to be able to get to your spot.
For
um,
sure.
as well as for a property, if it's got logging roads or easements, anything like that, uh, it's that's access. You can set up for different winds for hunting, and I mean, access is number one, definitely key. For me, have the access. Water source, that's everybody's number two.
Hmm.
Everybody's, it kind of seems like there should be a 5 acre pond and a flowing creek or river through every property,
Right. Right.
which is few, and there's not as many as aren't that there are that don't have that, I should say.
Right.
But yeah, a water source, and then if with tillable prices being high, I would love some income from that tillable,
Hmm.
and then be able to have clear cuts for some food plots.
Hmm.
Um, Also, another big thing to probably round it out. Okay, I've got two. Next one is the marketable timber on it. Um, a lot of places before they sell right now, everybody's getting their money out, so uh, if you want to do it the right way, a select cut would be prime to be able to buy, because in the next 10 to 15 years you're going to get some money back from that investment of buying the property
Mhm.
from another timber harvest, and it's good for the habitat. um, and then the last one would definitely be a barn dominium up on top of the hill so I can just see everything.
Right. Have you ever had anybody attempt to maybe not put any money down and use the timber for like a down payment type of situation?
Yeah, that's it's kind of a situation where it depends on the seller as well. If somebody knows what they're talking about going into a property, they might be able to work with the um, somebody to be able to make that happen. But a lot of the times, people know that what they have in the timber. So there's a lot of times that the properties, if you go ask them, has this been cut? It's no, it's been 10 to 15 years. But when I cut it last, this is how much I got. And so they're kind of adding that into the price already, I think.
I got you.
That way somebody's not just getting their property scotch free, or that's money that they could be cutting it, but it's valuing their property higher so that uh, they can definitely get that kickback off the purchase price.
Right. What about like mineral rights and that sort of situation? Is that something that you run into any at all, any or at all in Indiana?
Not a whole lot. I would imagine the South West might have that a little bit, just
Hmm.
because of once you get into Illinois over there, you see a lot of gas and oil wells.
Yeah.
Um, we go shed hunting down in Southern Illinois, and there's a stretch that there's nothing but just gas wells. Just
Yeah.
it looks like people are holding a lantern or a tiki torch out there. It's
Right.
pretty cool. But no, mineral rights isn't a huge thing in Indiana. But like I said, if you get into Kentucky or even Illinois, where the gas and oil are lot lot more often that you can see and part of properties, that's when you're going to see it more.
Hmm. Yeah, I wish. Speaking of, I was looking at one of the listings that you guys had put on Facebook. It was out west somewhere, Clay County. Actually, I believe it was Martin County, which isn't really technically west. It's more south than anything. But it was like 75 acres. It had like a 5-bedroom house on it, and it had like I want to say like 25 to 30 tillable. I was like, this is my dream place. Like,
Yeah.
not even just to live on, because I would like probably, Airbnb or rent the house out or something like that. But to have 75 acres with 30 of it tillable, kind of rolling hills with some pasture, I was like, man, that I wish I had an extra 350 in my pocket right
Yeah,
now.
no, that's everybody's dream. That's why we keep working.
Right. Yeah, stacking that retirement. One of these days
Yeah.
I'll work with you and get me something one of these days.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I'll be here.
How many times do you see that though? Like you a listing or whatever, and you're like, oh my god, I wish I had the money to buy this.
Oh, all the time. Every time I pull it up, it's there's I'm not wealthy by any means,
Right.
and there's like properties all around my in-laws that it's like, man, if that goes up, what am I going to have to do to be able to
Right.
get that, like to just keep building the dynasty. But all the time, there's brand new barn doors on, like you said, 75 acres. That's like, oh wow.
Yeah.
And then you make a couple trips out west and you're like, maybe I should own a property out of state.
Right. Oh man, when I was out in Missouri, we went there 3 times, I believe, this year. I told the wife my dream's always been, I don't know, I fell in love in 2020, went to Wisconsin for a hunt up there, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And I said from when I came back, I said I'm gonna have a place up there when I retire. I if you want to go south to Florida and be on the beach, you in the months of October and November. But I'm going north to the North Woods. Kind of fell in love with it. But when we went to Missouri, I don't know, man. That place is unreal.
It's fun.
Deep hardwoods. A lot of rolling. You get the pasture too. It's turkey everywhere. A lot of ducks too, with the river being so close. I mean, I fell in love with it too, which is it's not hard when Indiana here. I mean, where I'm at, and where I'm pretty much at. It's flat land. Whitetails are unbelievable, which is a huge passion. But I gotta have turkeys, man. Turkeys.
Yeah.
I'm a turkey hunting addict, man. I love it. But
It,
I was looking at some of the prices, and it seemed I don't know if it was a certain thing I was looking at, because there was like billboards everywhere, because it's in that right across from Pike County, Illinois, and all that stuff. So you see a lot of the whitetail properties and all that kind of stuff. They had offices and all that sort of thing, but it looked like their recreational was going for a lot higher than what ours is.
yeah, it's that it's that Iowa bug, I think, just around the big deer are I mean, it's not like a secret or anything. That's where the big deer
Right?
are, you know.
Yeah.
That northern Missouri and southern Iowa, and then that Pike County, Illinois area. It's kind of the honey hole.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody's wanting to get there, and even the leases. If you wanted to lease something around there, I think I've looked at a couple, and it's still crazy.
Oh, I can't
So
even imagine.
I can't imagine like that southern Iowa area. Those landowner tags are like gold. So you want to buy a piece of that property, it's gonna be pretty salty. But I
I
guess if you
couldn't
like
imagine.
whitetails enough, nothing can be too salty.
Right. Yeah, if I had deep enough pockets, I'd be in that for sure. Like there was, we hunted public land over there in Missouri. We saw several places just outside of the public land. You seen these guys had campers. They had a big bonfires. There was 15, 20 guys. They were obviously having some kind of camp, deer camp. There was a youth gun weekend right after Thanksgiving. So their gun season's only like 7 days or something like that. But the youngsters get a whole another weekend at it after Thanksgiving there. And these people were having, it looked like having a pretty good time. And I'm like, man, it would be so cool because my son's 7, just turned 7. I would love to have a place where I could take him. And have a camp with some guys and that sort of thing. But I'm sure you run into that situation a lot where it's like the guy's got some money that he can do it, and it probably makes some dreams come true for some kids.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's one of the cool things that we share at my in-laws' property is they've got a camper and we've got a camper there, and
Mm-hmm.
just bringing in not we haven't really brought in too many kids, but bringing in new hunters to be able to share like that camp atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's so cool, and like you said, with your son, and I don't want to wish away any single day, but I cannot wait until I get to take that little man out and
Oh,
like
I
you said,
guarantee it.
experience that camp life with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've kind of, obviously my son's younger and hadn't really got into that yet, but my neighbor Adam's been cool enough to let me film some hunts and that sort of thing when it comes to youth season for the last 3 or 4 years now, and uh, it's some of those moments are so special, man. Like this year, this past year, 2023, youth turkey season, we went back to back days with kids getting it done, one on private, one on public, and just to see the light bulb go off for a kid that me and him had been turkey hunting like 3 years in a row and never really even heard a gobble. I was taking him to some public land because I don't really have any private property here in Indiana to turkey hunt because there's not really any turkeys where I live. And for him to see the action, hammering on the roost, actually calling the bird in, and then when it when it all went down, I'm so glad that we have it on camera, and that video that I'm talking about is actually going to be released sometime in February. I never even put it out last year because around that time I was on my turkey tour, as I call it,
Yeah.
hunting several different states, so I never really got a time to put it together. But man, those hunts with those kids are so much fun, man.
It's that yeah, it's so cool to watch even other people like on YouTube and
Mhm.
being taking kids out. It's so cool. It when you were just saying how you guys heard him on the roost, and then you got it done like that. Cold chills, man. It's so
Right.
cool. Like I wanted to start pumping my fist.
It was such a wild hunt because his buddy bought a place down in Franklin County. They're building a barn dominium. I believe it's done now. But nobody had ever killed a turkey on this place. I'm not sure they even had a chance to go at it yet. Gave us a chance to take the youngster down there, and we get going down this ridge, and he's like, hey, man, they tell me they've been on trail cameras down through this ridge for the past week or so. I'm like, that's awesome. And we got about, I don't know, 20, 30 yards in the woods. I'm like, let's just stop for a second. And I whipped out the old hoot owl call, man, and he hammered less than 100 yards from us. I'm like, we need to sit down, like right here. And then he flew down. He was all alone. I called him right up the ridge. The whole hunt was like 20 minutes long, which was crazy. I mean, that was even me setting a blind up for the kid, and it still was 20 minutes
Wow,
long.
dang.
Yeah. I got I think it's a double bull dark horse is the one I got, and you can have those hub blinds up in a matter of minutes, which is nice to have a kid in a blind for turkey hunting for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's it's like after those 20 minutes, like, okay, what do we do now?
I know, and there was 2 or 3 other birds fired up. I mean, we're taking pictures and stuff, and I'm like, man, I kind of wish we had another kid because I know we could kill another bird.
Yeah.
'Cause he was hot. I mean, we weren't calling or anything after we shot, or we weren't even. I bet you this bird gobbled 50 times while we were standing there
Oh
taking pictures.
man.
I mean, just hot.
Yeah, that's the best, especially when you first hear it and then the next time they're that much closer and then that much closer and it's like, all right, it's going down.
Yeah, as soon as he hit the ground, he gobbled, which you know how sounds resonate through those ridges and stuff down southern Indiana, but he was on the other side, but he wasn't very far when he hit the ground. I'm guessing within 50 yards, and when he did that, it did make the hair on the back of my neck stand up. He was close enough for it to be like, oh my God, it's getting ready to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. More excited than the little one. Just
Yeah, I probably
hoping it
was
comes
for
soon.
sure. And it was funny because they didn't have a whole lot of turkey hunting experience, and we were going to use the blind, and the chair that he brought was like bright red camping chair, and this bird's hammering, and he finally hit the ground. But when I looked over next to me, the corner of his chair was actually sticking out the window of the blind. So I like stood up and just like turned the blind and set it back down. And I believe that helped us because when the bird finally came up over the ridge, he couldn't see the bird at first. All he could see was his head, going across the ridge. And
Yeah.
then finally he made it where you could see from like his beard up. And I'm like, lay him out, dude. Boo! It was a pretty cool hunt. I can't wait to put it out there and share it to everybody.
Yeah, that's gonna be exciting to watch. I'm gonna be sitting there hooting and hollering when the shot goes off.
Oh, for sure. I've been working. If you guys follow social, you've probably seen it. A couple of days ago, once this comes out. But I like having different intro videos each year for deer, turkey, everything. So I finally put my turkey intro together for this coming up spring, and it's always a lot of fun to go back and look through last year's footage and kind of put like a little compilation together of last year's stuff, which last year was an unbelievable turkey. I had the best turkey season I've probably ever had in my life. I think I was a part of 13 birds altogether, if I'm not
Oh
mistaken on
wow.
the number. Oh, it
Dang
was
yeah.
unbelievable. I went, probably everybody's probably tired of us talking about this story, but 8 birds in 22 hours in Michigan. Unbelievable, man. I mean, you couldn't even put it together. I mean, I go and hunt with some guys from Mid-State Outdoors. They put a camp together. Me and Zach Sloan, the guy that runs everything, we kind of did like a traded hunt sort of situation, and then it turned into everybody wanting to come and do a collaboration with everybody because they have Victor from Crimson
Yeah.
Trail. You've probably seen him
Yep.
before.
Yep.
A few other people. We put a hunt together, but it was pretty cool just to start blasting birds like that. And I'd already killed one in West Virginia. So I already had one on the board. So I killed 2 myself last year, and then get to see the kiddos kill one. And I called in a bird for a 15-year-old in West Virginia who had never been turkey hunting ever. Just I just had like an unreal all this on video. Every bit of it was on video, which made it even better. You know how it goes.
Yeah, that's one of the best things about carrying around the camera everywhere you go. I mean,
Hmm.
it's if you're like me, you almost make it without it.
Yeah.
It's like it's crazy how that becomes your tool.
Well, I'll ask you one more question on the property stuff, and then I'm going to ask you kind of some stuff when it comes to your deer hunting styles. But uh, easiest. This was a question actually from Zach Sloan. I was trying to come up with some of these questions because I never had any guests like yourself on here, and this is a Zach Sloan question. But easiest and cheapest things to improve a property for whitetails.
Oh wow. The easiest and cheapest is definitely going to be uh, chainsaw.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I know chainsaws. Everybody's got a chainsaw.
Right.
Getting out those unwanteds to be able to release some light to the ground to get that understory up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's you're going to see that tenfold in a property. When you're walking out there and there's just leaves on the ground and you look up and you can't even see the sky,
Right.
um, no bueno. So it's being able to identify some of those trees that you are kind of the unwanteds,
Mm-hmm.
like beech trees. We cut. I can't even tell you in the last 6 or 7 years how many beech trees we've hinge cut,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that's all chainsaw. I mean, it's a lot of work, but having the sweat equity into that and just providing more habitat. Not only is that fallen tree going to provide shelter for turkeys, rabbits, squirrels. It's some of those hinges that we do on that's kind of controversial, but we like to do them. But just being able to see the deer utilize those and finding beds under them is huge, and it costs a little bit of a gas and oil for your chainsaw and
Mm-hmm.
just a little sweat equity. So I would definitely say that's number one. Um, Number two, cheapest thing, man. Uh, that's a good question. Thanks, Zach. Zach to
I thought so.
Zach, double Zach,
Right.
Zach. Oh man. Second thing is it's probably free. The cheapest way to improve it, and to make it more enjoyable is to have your buddies help you, man. Have your buddies, friends, family, be able to share that. Um, not everybody does it. I mean, we're
Right.
it seems like there's a lot, but really there's a select few
Mm-hmm.
in the scheme of things that are trying to go out there and improve your property and do all of that. And being able to sit down in a camp chair, or get in the truck and drive home and just be exhausted and laugh with your friends and have a beer is it's cheap and it's free, and it makes going out to your property, I mean, just that much more enjoyable.
For
So
sure.
yeah, chainsaw and friends, two good things
That's
to
it.
have.
I like that combo. Kind of go back on touch on something you said because I don't maybe understand it as much. Maybe somebody else does. But you said the hinge cutting is controversial. What makes it controversial?
Oh man, a lot of people, so like what we do for beech trees, we hinge them over, so about waist high. You cut about 3/4 into it, and we've got a push pull that we can kind of direct which way we cut it, so we can push it to a certain way. So we can, I don't know, if there's 10 beech trees in an area, we can kind of push them all into one section, so that it creates a nice thick area. And beech trees actually hold their leaves the longest. So if you're walking a property right now and there's just a bunch of orange leaves, it's probably a beech. But a lot of people just want to fall the tree completely, spray it, kill it, and then let it be done. So when we hinge beech specifically for us, they stay alive for a little bit longer than if obviously if you would just completely cut it. So it provides habitat, but at the same time, it's still letting light hit the ground floor. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really cool. If somebody's curious about it, they can get on the Management Advantage on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom's done several videos about hinge cutting on there, and we're out there just hacking away. It's nothing to go out there and cut 500-600 beech trees in a day, just hinging
That's
them
awesome.
over, and it's it's pretty wild. We have some fun doing it, but obviously there's some big safety factors in there. I'm not just saying that because if you hinge one over, and you gotta make sure you're looking up, because if it gets stuck on a tree, or um, there's a dead limb above it, it could be bad. But yeah, I think a lot of people just want to see that completely down to the ground, so the vegetation can come up.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, it's creating really good habitat. It's kind of preference, but some people really hate it and some people really love it.
Pretty cool. I'll have to check those Tom's videos out.
Yeah, they're really, it's really cool. It's cool to see, especially along trails when we're cutting them, and
Mm-hmm.
then see a bed, and then there's a giant rub on a tree that you cut, and it's just right there. Oh, it's so cool.
That's pretty cool. I'm sure a lot of satisfaction comes out of doing a lot of things like you were telling me about, controlled burns and stuff like that. I'm sure you get quite a bit of satisfaction. I'm sure those controlled burns down south help you out for turkeys and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it's I that's probably my favorite out of all habitat practices.
Mm-hmm.
I actually took a class at Ball State last February for burns, for controlled burns,
That's awesome.
and that's it's it's fun, it's wild. Got to play the wind, got to play the
Oh yeah.
moisture, all of that.
I
But
used to be a certified wildland firefighter, so I know
hey,
exactly
there
what
you
you're
go. You
talking
took
about.
the class too. Yeah,
Yep.
that's what I am.
That's awesome. Yeah, I went to Vincennes to be a conservation officer. Afterwards, I realized that it really wasn't my cup of tea, but got to see a lot of stuff. We got to, do that sort of thing out in the woods. It was. I think we ended up getting like 3 or 4 inches of snow when I was taking the class. And go out there and to cut lines and all that sort of stuff. It was pretty fun. The pack test was a lot easier when I was 18 years old.
Yeah, that's I didn't take the pack test that day. I think we had something in the afternoon, and I was like, man, 45 more minutes. I could probably get it done before then. But then like some of these like dudes were like fit, and I
Oh
was like,
yeah.
oh, I haven't worked out in a while. I better not do this just yet. But it is very satisfying, and it's definitely not an instant thing, because like burning, those typically burn grasses, but the grasses on uh, after you burn them like year 3 or 4, and they come back that next spring, and it's just so much thicker, bigger, better, and it's like, wow, fire just did that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool stuff. Have you taken any other classes when it comes to stuff like that?
Um, not like college course wise.
Mm-hmm.
I know if a lot of people may be like intrigued about kind of the habitat stuff and trees and all that. The Purdue extensions in Indiana hold a lot of really cool like 4 to 6 week courses, one night a week. And last year I did a tree identification course over in Wayne County at their Purdue Extension office, and it was very very cool. And it's almost nerdy, because like, I mean, who wants to study leaves or the bark on a tree, or but it's very cool to be able to like go through that, and then drive down the road and be like, oh, that's a poplar tree right there. Pick up a
Right.
leaf and be like, oh, that's not just any maple, that's a silver maple.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very cool.
I took a class in high school called Natural Resources Management, and that was one of the courses that we took was the tree identification and learning about logging and all that kind of stuff. Very cool. I don't know if it still is. The one thing that sticks out of my mind because we were going through wood prices. We actually went to a sawmill and saw how they did a lot of stuff. But is black walnut still like the prize tree?
Yeah, that's pretty prized right now. It's that and the white oak are top of the food chain for that.
Yeah, we did. I did a lot of cool stuff like that when I was younger and took that class. We did like snowmobile safety courses and jet ski and the boater safety and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of what got me kickstarted into wanting to be a DNR officer. I wish I could go back and focus more on maybe like the forestry side of things. Maybe get a job with like the U.S. Wildlife or something like that. Instead of going down the rabbit hole I did, and me not really, I didn't really want to be a law enforcement officer.
Yeah.
That kind of I didn't realize it was as much of being a police officer, than what it was. I was more interested in teaching hunters ed and that sort of thing. I guess the public side of things. I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's funny. I started the same road when I first went to college. I always wanted to be a law enforcement
Hmm.
side of things, and then I went to Anderson University and seeing what they made 13 years ago right out of college, and that's what I mean. You're in so much debt just
Yeah,
going, you know. It's
for
like
sure.
let's reevaluate real quick.
Yeah, yeah. I went down that hole for sure because I graduated high school in '08, and then went to Vincennes after that, and I believe like a starting, and nothing against conservation officers by any means, but the starting salary was somewhere around 38,000, I believe, to be in that position, and I wanted more out of I wanted to make more money. Let's just say that I wanted to have a nice life, and I didn't feel like at the time 38,000 was enough. I don't know. Maybe that's
No,
bad
yeah.
to say that. I don't know, but it seemed like, and now I don't even know how they would do that now. That'd be borderline poverty.
Yeah,
uh,
that's it's crazy. Yeah. I mean, but everybody's making good money now. Kind of
right,
leveled back up with the changes in the
for sure.
economy and I think a lot of people would rather be a conservation officer than a actual police officer
Oh,
nowadays,
for
just because of the
sure.
way things are.
Yeah, it was so tight though back when we got out of school. There wasn't a lot of positions to be filled. They had a lot of officers with a lot of years on them, and it seemed like after I decided not to do it, they all retired, and then there was a million different job openings, and I was like, it's too late now.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna plug in here real quick, but
Oh,
I'm
you're
sure you
good.
know Tyler Burton,
Yes, sir.
good buddy, and he just
Absolutely.
went through the academy, and he I mean, he's top notch to me,
Yeah.
but he enjoys it really. He just settled in so well, and but what I was saying is when he first started, like in I guess our area, there wasn't very many. I think there was one position to fill, so
Yeah.
it was really well, should I do this? Should I not? And then he got in. So once you're in, you're golden. But
Oh yeah.
that is kind of there's not very many of them, so it's you got to be the best of the best. And Tyler definitely made the list.
Tyler's a great guy. Never really. He was younger than me. We went to the same school. He was a lot younger than me, but his dad was a football coach of mine and great person. One of my favorite football coaches out of being in football as long as I was. He was probably one of my favorites ever. Uh, but I remember him growing up and seeing Tyler and his dad in Gander Mountain and Greenfield way back in the day, and him buying traps and that sort of thing. And then later on, him being the conservation officer, I'm like, that's a pretty cool story, I think.
Yeah, it's wild because I never met Tyler until a few years ago,
Hmm.
and after I met him, come to find out his dad and my dad hung out in high school,
That's
and so they
awesome.
know each other really well. I was like, oh, small world, which it is. It is.
Right.
Henry County is just a small world in general.
Oh, for sure. Well, let's dive into some deer hunting talk. Um,
Absolutely.
what counties are you primarily, or what county was it? Brown County that you're primarily deer hunting?
Um, Man, I don't know if I want to give away the specific county, but I can say
Don't do it then.
I can definitely tell you West Central Indiana.
Okay,
So Brown's a little south, but we're over in Park County.
I got you.
So it's not, obviously it's not mine. I'm
Hmm.
very 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 fortunate that my in-laws have some property over there. That, like I mentioned, Tom bought 20 something years ago, and he's he's been the habitat guy since then, and he was generous enough to bring me under his wing when I came into the family and uh, invite me to the addiction.
So with 20 years to put work on a property like that, it's probably unbelievable if I had to take a
Yeah,
guess.
we think it is. Yeah, it's sometimes still. I mean, I even walk into stands. It's like, how, I forget how to get there. It's like, well, if you see this rock on the right side of the trail, and it might be a pebble, but he knows it's there.
That's awesome, man. Talk about the train features that you're hunting.
Yeah, there's we've a big they call it Project 17. It's a big, it was 17 acres of tillable that they converted into habitat. So warm season grasses, food plots, clover roads all around. So that's kind of the main, I guess, section of it. There's a couple of plots on top of the hills, but all of the fingers kind of just drain down into this tillable field, which is really really cool to be able to walk through the property and just see the trails. I mean, they're leading right there.
Yeah.
Um, as far as like the terrain goes, it's not mountainous by any means, but there's definitely some deep ravines, ridge tops. Like I said, fingers going down. As far as the elevation change goes, it's pretty much all high, and then it just drops down into that tillable.
Sounds badass.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And like I said, if we're not doing something with friends or family, we're out there working. So
Hmm.
it's it's kind of our, I guess, getaway now.
Yeah. Indiana, I talk about this, I feel like every week or once I have more Indiana people on the show. But Indiana being, kind of the sleeper state for a while, now we're popping up on everybody's radar because of several deer that were killed here that were that big. But what part of Indiana do you think gets overlooked the most? What section of Indiana?
Man, that is also a very good question. Man, after seeing like the deer hunting pages this year, it was it was crazy how many deer up in northeast, like north of Fort
Like
Wayne, were,
Lake County up in there?
yeah, Steuben County up there.
Mm-hmm.
It was it was eye opening for me to see all those big deer killed. I mean, because I guess it's kind of close to Ohio, but you get into Michigan and you don't really see the genetics that you do once you
Right.
cross over that state line.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I kind of just assumed that it wasn't that good up there,
Mm-hmm.
but it's that good.
Well, like when you were talking about being out west there, where your place is, I was gonna say, that place probably. I feel like western side of the state gets overlooked, but it really doesn't. I think where we're at, I think the county that I live in and some counties that border me, I feel like East Central Indiana gets overlooked quite a bit. There's some absolute freaking giants around here.
Yeah, yeah, and just driving around, and of course the giants are going to most likely be mature bucks, but when you see one, it's like, dude, get back in that tree line. Somebody's
Yeah, right.
one of these hillbillies might be out here with the spotlights tonight. You better get back in there.
Yeah. And if you were to take somebody that was, big into deer hunting, and you dropped them in where we're at here, do you think they could figure it out quick? Because I feel like the patchwoods, the fence rows, I feel like they're the people that have that figured out have it figured out, and I don't feel like just a regular guy could pick up on it that quick.
Yeah, the patchwoods are definitely a game changer because um, I mean, if you circled a square mile just like around the block, there might be three or four, but 2 miles down the road, there's another three or four, even though it's tillable in between.
Hmm.
And you don't know where you don't they might be on a hot doe that day and they might go 2 more miles the other
Hmm.
direction.
Yeah.
And I think in a short amount of time, um, I don't think it's I guess it's possible if you trip into some luck, but being able to figure it
Right.
out if you just drop somebody in and said, "All right, this is what you can hunt these wood patches for the weekend," um, have to be pretty lucky because especially now with all the like I said development and just people building houses all over the place,
Hmm.
everything's changed constantly changing. So the their home might not be their home for too long, especially if they're getting a little bit too much pressure or too much traffic going up and down the road. So
For
I don't know.
sure.
It'd be pretty tough. I'm sure there's some guys that could do it, but it'd be pretty tough.
Like there's a few deer back here behind me. If I showed you on a map where I killed these deer, you'd be like, "There ain't no freaking way you killed that there." But for the ones that got to figure it out, they know what I'm talking about.
No, for sure, for sure. And yeah, like when you uh when you know the patterns and you
For sure.
know the consistency as far as year to year, what time frame they might be in there. It's
Exactly.
like, all right, honey, I'm taking off these 3 or 4 days because
Right.
this 10-acre woodlot is mine.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. Stand locations. How exactly are you guys setting up stand locations, or do you even have stands? You go in with climbers. How do you guys doing it?
Yeah, there's all pre-hung stands. We've got each tree has two stands, one for the camera guy, one for the other hunter.
Hmm.
Unless we're solo, and then we've just got the arm with us. But
Right.
everything's pre-hung, and it's one access and then two for the wind. Um, we really don't go in the core early season. Try to stay on the edges and just kind of see what's happening because for us, particularly here in the last few years, all the mature bucks, they're in and out here till mid September, and then we usually don't see them until first week of November when they come finding the does. But uh, it's definitely a card game with that, and we really emphasize the wind too. We've got winds for all south winds, north winds, and winds. We've got stands for those. And that's kind of if it's bad wind, we don't go in. So everything's pre-hung, and I think we've hung a couple new stands, but again, it goes back to Tom. He's knows the property so well. Those stands were there before I was. So
Right.
every August, go in and check and make sure they're okay, and then rock and roll from there.
That's awesome. It kind of goes back on that thing like you were talking about timing wise. I'm sure he's got some stands hung in some locations where he knows something might go down on a certain day.
Yep. No, absolutely.
You know, go back to probably 2019, 2020. I started journaling all my deer hunts. And call me crazy, but definitely patterns when it comes to certain time of the year, certain days, certain winds. I've killed bucks on just looking at some old patterns, and say go back to the year before. Wow, had a north wind this day. Bucks came from here, does came from here, and it all played out like that. And I think a lot more people should journal their hunts and then go back and look at the years past and see if those patterns show up for you.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's crazy the way that works too because this year, like I said, November rolls around and they start popping back up. And 3 years ago,
Hmm.
I skipped over the back of a buck and we didn't see him again until the end of the season. And then last year he showed up right in that like fifth through the 12th range in the exact same camera. And this year he did the exact same thing. But those last 2 years, those were the only two times we saw him, and it was on camera. um, and that's
That's
just
wild.
the 6.5-year-old buck, mature buck brain he's got. It's like, I know my core area. I'm just gonna go over here, see what kind of does they got, and go back home. But that is really cool that you journal though, because it's, I mean, a lot of people are, well, this is gonna happen this day, and you know what? It's right, especially 2019. The last 4 or 5 years you've been doing that. I mean,
Yeah.
recognizing the patterns, taking the time to create another tool for you to be able to be successful out in the woods. That's awesome, man.
I put like every detail that I can possibly put into it: barometric pressure, cloud cover. I mean, I go through a whole list of stuff. And you kind of just talked me up, but I didn't do it this year. I didn't journal my hunts this year. I don't know, just didn't think about it because I just used an app on my phone for the last few years. But I need to. I think I'd be kind of cool to get me like a little notebook and start doing it and actually writing it down, and then maybe making me like a spreadsheet each year. I think would be kind of cool.
Yeah, no,
Nerd out a little bit.
that would be very cool. On I don't know what cell cams you use, but on the Tacticam, they actually have like part of it where you can pull all of your like pictures of, I mean, from back whenever you first got it, but and it gives you statistically all these stats that you wouldn't even think about: what the wind was that day, pressure, uh, what time. I mean,
Hmm.
it's wild. The moon phases. I'm not really big into that, but
Right.
it gives you all the information that you would, instead of, I've done it too, where I've went back on cards and tried to write that, go back in the Weather Channel and write down
Yeah.
exactly what it was. Man, that takes a
Yeah.
lot of time.
It does take a lot of time. I usually just do it in like the first hour that I'm sitting there in the tree, and stuff hadn't really popped off yet. Maybe like an evening hunt or something. Start messing with it and start writing stuff down, and then putting down what I saw. Well, I saw a doe. She came from the north, or I saw a buck make a rub here, or whatever. Whatever the case may be. But just to have all that information and go back and it really did on a certain property that I hunt in Hancock. It's almost like clockwork. I mean, it, like you said, you have a time frame, the 5th through the 12th. I can almost do the exact same thing on this property, and it almost resulted in a 170 this year that I blew it. So that sucks.
Hey, no, that's it'll be a good one next year.
I hope so, buddy. What about the bucks on your property, the ones that you hit listers? Is there certain criteria? They got to be a certain age. What's it like putting a hit list together for you guys?
Yeah, with all the time and energy and to like the habitat work, the food plots. Mature deer in our book is 4, um, and if he's 4 and he looks good, he's there's a good chance. Really, this year with Bo, Morgan stayed home a lot, so she wasn't able to hunt. But my sister-in-law Lauren went out with Tom a couple times, and um, after after I shot my buck this year, November 12th, there was one more really good 5-year-old. He wouldn't have really score wise. He wouldn't have been much, but I mean, he's really tall, goofy. We called him Goalpost, and
That's awesome.
that's anymore, especially if he's going to be. I hate it's kind of annoying saying he's going to be good next year,
Mm-hmm.
but it's it's hard to pass a mature deer no matter what the inches are in his head.
Right.
The last 2 bucks that I took, one with the rifle and this year with my bow, they were 5-year-old deer, but one might be 130 and one was like 105, 110. But it's the game. When I made my post after I killed this year, um, I mentioned something about just seeing the different characteristics and the way, I guess, immature deer act, and it's night and day seeing a mature deer walk through the woods compared to these little tiny dudes that are just just
Just running
banging
about.
heads and totally oblivious to absolutely everything, which it
Right.
makes it fun when you have a camera because it's like,
Oh,
oh
for
wow,
sure.
this is here. But then
Yeah.
um, when the mature buck comes by, it's like, oh, this is game time, and then it seems like your camera doesn't work.
I've been there before, man.
Yeah, it's I just a quick back to this year. We had a we had a couple 4 year olds and then goalpost that 5 year old that were on the hit list. I had kind of limited time. We went through selling our house, so it was a lot of work on our house and a lot of weekends put into that I wasn't able to hunt. So it was like, man, I gotta just get it done when I'm out there.
Yeah.
And after a couple unsuccessful weekends, it was like, oh wow, this time's coming. This is last week in a bow. What's going to happen during gun? Thanksgiving's coming up. Christmas is coming up. Like all of these holiday plans are like, I'm not going to get it done. And we had a pretty hot camera. Nothing just giant, but there was always deer moving on it. And I had a good morning sit, a bunch of young bucks fighting, playing, eating in the corn, and I was like, you know what, this is might be one of my last times to be out for a few weeks, so let's just go out midday, sit. And so I went to that stand and I sat down, and the sun, it was like 1:30 maybe. The sun was directly beating in my eyes. I couldn't see anything in front of me, and that lasted about 2 hours. And I was like, I'm about to get down. This is absolutely insane. It's giving me a headache. I mean, it was like in my camera, if you pan out, you couldn't see anything. I was like, what if a deer comes? And about hour and a half later, I had had a couple young bucks walk through, and I just happened to look up, and I just saw a big old body just strutting his way towards me, strutting like a turkey. But just like instantly after watching all of those young deer, just seeing the body movement and the posture of, I didn't even see his rack at first. I was like, oh, that's a shooter. And so I got my camera out and I got my binos to double check, and it was a mature deer. And I mean, that was it. I shot him at 19 yards and he went 19 yards. And
That's awesome.
I I went back to watch the footage, and if I would have got him where I shot him, I would have had to. I was already at full draw, and I would have had to let go, bring the camera around my back, and then get on him.
Mhm.
And at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna. I'll tell the tale.
Well, you did the same thing I did this year. I had him come in. I had to make him scrapes and rubs and everything. And he went back out into the corn. He was going to go to the next patch woods, like we talked about. And I snort wheezed, and he turned around and came back in, made another rub. And I had been using the saddle light from Fourth Arrow, and it's not really made for me to be using when I'm not saddle hunting. And this tree I was in was huge. I wish I'd had my bigger arm at the time. I couldn't get my camera all the way around to the back side where he was at. Tried getting my GoPro on, and he was starting to make his way out again, and I kind of had to do the same thing. You saw enough on camera before, and I smoked him. But I wish I had a cameraman that day or a bigger tree arm, because I would. That's just like, I don't know. You know how it goes when it comes to filming. I'm going to jump into that here in a second, but that's your ultimate goal for the season.
Yeah,
You want to shoot a mature buck, you're one of your hit listers or whatever on camera, and then for it to be a split second decision I had to make will absolutely eat me alive at night thinking
yeah.
about it.
It's I was kind of frustrated. I was frustrated a couple of days later. I was like, man, I did not get it. And I text my buddy Casey, and he said it's pretty dang good advice. He said, I'm just a guy out there filming deer. If I get an opportunity to shoot him, that's when it happens. So he's always. I mean, he's probably the best cameraman that I know,
Mm-hmm.
and he's always got great footage. And I mean, it makes sense if you use that camera as your tool, I guess, instead of your bow
Mhm.
first, and then grab your bow, and then I mean, it all works out in the end. But uh, camera first, bow second. I learned my lesson.
Yeah, same. And I've talked about it before on here the last couple shows, but I was behind the camera so much for the last few years that I would, get trigger happy. I wouldn't say trigger happy, but I would get so more excited for maybe even like a 115 incher. It's like, well, I got my bow this time. Somebody's filming me. But this year, just self filming, I was a lot more picky. I passed 3 or 4 deer at the 115, 120 mark. Let them go. My personal goal was 140 mature buck. I wanted something. I knew what was on camera for the most part in most of these places I was hunting. There was certain deer that I was kind of going after. But self filming, man, oh my gosh, it's just like it's so rewarding and can be so frustrating at the same
Yeah,
time. But
exactly. Yeah, especially I don't know if like mine has a I ratcheted it on, so it's like
yeah,
sometimes the trees are just barely, so you're reaching around, throwing
yeah.
throwing it around, trying to catch it with the other hand. And if somebody didn't know what you were doing and just watching, they'd be like, what is this guy trying to do? But but the end product is so worth it, man. And carrying that camera around, like you said, with your kid, and
Mhm,
even on hunts, being able to take it back and plug in that SD to the computer,
mhm.
um, be able to tell the story and watch it all at the same time. It's so cool.
Yeah, I started. I've always used GoPros for secondary angles, in that sort of situation. But I got the GoPro Max 360, and I used it basically for interviews during my sits. What's going on, the date, that sort of situation, and with it Bluetoothing to my phone, I was able to have pretty much every conversation that I had with that camera on my phone all year, which was kind of cool because you could, not that anybody was really that interested in it, but you could do like update from the stand on
Yeah.
TikTok or Facebook or something like that, and kind of people could kind of follow along during the season, which I thought think's pretty cool when it comes to something like that.
Yeah, that's definitely something I need to get better at is the updates throughout. I feel like a lot of times it's just the harvest, but even the bad times, if you missed, or hey, today my camera just fell on the ground. Hopefully that's not the case, but binos, or
Right.
your quiver fell,
Your
or
release.
you were like 30 minutes late, or I mean, stuff like that. I mean, it's stuff that it happens all the time, but it just doesn't get put out there because it might be embarrassing, but it's life. The raw stuff is the best stuff.
Yeah, that was probably one of the hardest things I had to put out this year was when I made a bad shot on the biggest deer of my life, and then to put it all with the interviews and put it together, and then actually put that out there. And I had several people asking me, "Well, do you not want to put it out there?" No, I want to put it out there to be transparent, but it also it's showing you how I messed up, and sometimes that can be a really hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not any easier for you after you see it the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth time, and I know it's probably still haunting even after a successful harvest. It's like, but
For
what
sure.
if?
Right. Yeah, it was. That's why I named the one I shot when I put it up. I put Redemption Buck because it was very sweet redemption at
Yeah,
that.
and that can be like it's always in the back of your head the next time you shoot your bow, even practicing. It's
For
like,
sure.
okay, what do I need to practice? Do I need to stand on my head and try shooting? That way I'm more prepared for next time. Or but
Right.
it's such a mental game at that point, especially like us using bows with a camera in the stand. It's a whole nother level, man.
Oh, for sure. So filming wise, what camera are you rolling with when you're filming your hunts?
Oh man, that's a great question. My I mentioned Dean. He's our East Central Indiana agent.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me a Sony Handycam
Mm-hmm.
a few years back, and that's what I'm running right now. And then I've got a GoPro 9 for my second angle.
Nice.
Um, I do have a fourth arrow arm though.
Mm-hmm.
So Victor, He's a
Yeah.
big fourth arrow guy, but
Oh yeah.
um, Tom gave me that fourth arrow arm uh, when I first started out with them. So
Hmm.
it's probably 6 or 7 years old. But it's a part of my backpack now. You know,
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
goes everywhere, and it's I feel naked without it. I actually was about to download my hunt this year. I have two more clips, the last two, the most important, and I thought they were still in my camera. I couldn't find my camera anywhere, so I was kind of freaking out the last few days, and I just found it today. So um, that's it was relieving. But yeah, I'm running a Sony Handycam and a GoPro 9, so they do the job. I
No,
like it.
for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's just like anything else. Once you do it for a while, you'll make changes. Just like when I first started filming my hunts, I started with a Sony Handycam, and I had it was some kind of muddy camera arm that they had made forever ago, and then I switched it and got a bigger camera, and then a bigger camera arm. Now I'm running the Canon XA11 with the fluid head, the remote, and all that sort of stuff. And then I switch back and forth between the fourth arrow satellite when I'm saddle hunting, and then when I'm in a lock on, I usually use it's a Muddy Outfitter. I don't really like using that camera arm as much because the base is so freaking big.
Yep.
Trying to get it in your bag. That's what I like about the fourth arrow one. I mean, the bases can fit in my pocket, and it doesn't have a ratchet. It's just got the cam buckle, which is really freaking nice. I really like that about it. But it's a I may switch other things. There's a couple fourth arrow camera arms I'm looking at to kind of upgrade when I'm not in a saddle, when I'm in a lock on or a climber or whatever, to use a different one. But I really like the the base on that saddle light because it's just so small, and I don't have to. My bag doesn't feel another extra 15 pounds to it.
Yeah.
It's already got enough in there to begin with.
Yeah, that's especially early season when it's hot and
Yeah.
you walked in, you just climbed the stand, and now you got to quietly just like pick out all these little parts and put them together, and
Yeah.
sweat's dripping down. But no, it's a like I said before, it's a whole nother world being able to put all that stuff together, and somebody down on the ground watching you do all that. Everybody's got their routine,
For
and
sure.
that is 100% key, because if you do something different, then you're going to go turn on your camera, and then if you do have fluid head, it's going to be like at a 45-degree angle, and you're trying to film something, and you're not going to be able to correct that on Premiere Pro or whatever you use.
Right. That's a whole nother ball game. That's a whole nother conversation. Editing it and whatnot. But
Yeah, I'm green on that. I've played with it, but I'm pretty green.
I mean, I would say I've been like I said, I've had the YouTube since 2020, I believe, is when I started the YouTube. But I'm still green. There's still things that I mean, Victor is was very fortunate enough to show me some stuff editing when we were up in Michigan that I find I do it every time now when I edit. But I never thought about doing that when I used to do it,
Yeah,
um, or whatnot. But it's kind of the same thing. You change a lot of stuff as you go when it comes to that stuff.
yeah, it's I've been really ambitious a few times, and and bought it and started doing it, and like Victor said, he's got his degree, but it's the school of YouTube,
All
and
right.
there's so many channels and different ways that people are doing different stuff on Premiere Pro, and then here recently they threw in the mix AI. So just throw in all your. I haven't played with that, but throw in
I
all your
haven't
clips and
either.
see what happens. It's kind of scary, but at the same time, it's like, oh, did my life just get easier?
All right. What about like do you have your own YouTube or is it under a certain thing?
Really, right now, I've just got Instagram and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
All of our hunts, just because Tom is, like I said, a part of the management advantage. It goes to the management advantage. He's got a lot of hunts on there. Casey, Howard, um, all those guys. They've got a lot of turkey hunts and and deer hunts, and then habitat stuff on there. And I'm just lucky enough every once in a while that I get a hunt on there or something, and
Hmm.
it's pretty cool. But um, they've kind of I'm kind of Tom's shadow, so I don't know if they have a choice or not.
That's awesome. Have you or you currently do any out of state whitetail hunting?
I haven't. I really wanted to make that a goal for this year, but like I said, we had to finish our house, sell it, move, all of that. A couple years ago, I went down to Kentucky and hunted some public. I went with my buddy, who's our Southern Indiana agent, Caleb Thorne, and it was opening weekend of, oh man, what, Dove, maybe, is that
Oh
Kentucky?
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about because I go
And
down to Kentucky opening weekend.
it was insane. We went and scouted in like 105-degree weather one
Yep.
weekend, like 2 weeks before. So we show up and we get out in the morning and we're in there, and then all of a sudden we just hear these shots going off like crazy.
Yeah.
What in the? Caleb called me while I was in the stand. I was packed for all day, and he was like, "Man, I'm going back to the truck. I just something just flew by my head." I was like, "Okay," and it's they were.
Oh,
I
they
mean, it
get
was
crazy, man.
packed in there.
Yeah,
So
I don't know if we
public
were
land
close
opening
to
weekend.
the same general area. I think I'm. Hope I don't know where you were at down there, but or you don't have to give it away. But
Oh, we were close to. I forget the exact. It was a WMA close to Daniel Boone.
I got you. Okay. We we hunted down there, and I think they're not even allowed to go in to dove hunt until I want to say like noon, 11 noon, something like that. But boy, when they get in there till dark, boy, it's crazy. And there was 30 guys out there, and they're just straight banging some doves.
Yeah, I was like, man, this is gonna be a great spot. I mean, I had trails going all around me, a water source that I could see, and that all went to crap as soon as they started firing off.
You know, I have
But
a
we only stayed there for, I think we might have hunted the next morning and went back home, and that's really my whitetail extent out of state.
I have like a love hate relationship with deer hunting in Kentucky. I've been the last 2 or 3 years for opening weekend with some guys that have been doing it for over a decade now. I really like it because it's deer season now. Labor
Yeah,
Day weekend, let's do it. And then it's 97 degrees and you're sweating and you're walking 3 miles deep and it's just like and we stay in this campground and everybody's having a Labor Day weekend parties and that kind of stuff. So it's fun to do that. But I have the shittiest luck when it comes to deer hunting in Kentucky. I mean, for the last couple of years, I've only saw a handful of deer, really. And my neighbor, he's killed a 130 in velvet. They killed a 165 down there. They've gotten on deer, but I just have terrible luck when I go with
yeah,
them.
it's like what am I doing wrong when you
Right.
might even be doing one step better than the next person.
Right. Yeah, I think I'm over. In the last 2 years, I've just been filming Adam, so I'm just the cameraman, anyways. But it's like, dude, you just made me hike like 3 miles deep. I'm on my second shirt already. It's that hot. It's like, can we figure something else out? That's why
Yeah.
we went to Missouri like 2 weeks later for the 15th for their opener, and it was 65, 70 degrees. I'm like, oh my, this is way more my
Oh
speed
yeah.
than 97 degrees.
Yeah, it's like I can't imagine um like Florida, like
Ooh,
just deer hunting down there.
right.
That's where my brother and my parents live, and they go out to some of those WMAs down there and hunt. And when they're in t-shirts and take their climbers in, and it's like not only is it hot, but you've got like snakes, alligators, all
Yeah,
that
I'm
kind of.
out.
I mean,
I'm out.
who knows what's in there? At least in Kentucky, you might run into a bobcat or mountain lion, but
Right.
yeah, it's a whole different world when you get outside of your realm and what you're used to. But yeah, those out of state hunts, man, it's got to be the goals every year to at least try a new place.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am. I feel like I've been all over the Midwest. I want to start getting out further west, like you were talking about Kansas, Iowa. I'd love to get in that situation. But is there any of those states that's like the top of your bucket list?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I've killed a turkey in Iowa, and I've seen some of the bucks out of there. So I honestly have not put in for any points for Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna have to start doing that. That way, I can get out there. But I think Iowa's definitely that. I know Kansas. You every 2 years, you get a chance
Get
to draw a
drawn.
tag or
Yeah.
get a tag. I see a lot of guys on YouTube DIY public land and killing
Mm-hmm.
giants in Kansas,
Yeah.
which is really cool. But um, I think yeah, Iowa or Kansas, I think you hit the nail on the head. Is definitely big in the foreseeable future, I guess.
Yeah, I think this is like my third year putting in points for Iowa or something, so I'm getting closer. It takes a while to get in the ballpark on the whole preference points thing, and I kind of wish, kind of jumping back to the Indiana talk, I kind of wish we were like that when it came, maybe not necessarily the preference points, but maybe more like the Kansas, you can only get drawed um, every other year or something like that. Maybe slow down our non-resident and maybe jack the price up a little bit. Maybe I don't know. That's just me talking because
No,
we get a lot of
sure.
out of staters.
Yeah, it doesn't like even if we're during deer season, we could go grab a bite to eat and somebody's in camo and you get to talking to them and they're from out of state.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, oh, you guys just drove 14 hours or flew here with your gun or bow in hand. And no, I think a lot of states are going to start doing that as far
Mm-hmm.
as like the draw system for out of state, because you're continuously getting money
Yeah.
every year. So I guess from a financial and business standpoint, it would make sense. But yeah, it would be interesting to see what the difference was when those states actually initiated all of that.
Yeah, well, I have nothing against the outer staters that come in. I was looking at it more of like you said, the financial side of it. You jack that price up and they make so much money off of it. Maybe they start buying more pieces of land,
Yeah.
and doing them up like they do. I know they have a lot to tackle in the state, but more places to hunt would be pretty nice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I know I was just at the NWTF banquet Saturday night in at Fort Harrison, and they've got some really cool programs that they're going through to get more public access lands here in Indiana. And they had mentioned they just bought, or they were in the process of buying more acreage. I forget exactly where it's at, but it's pretty cool to see organizations outside of the state being able to grant some more public access for people to enjoy.
Absolutely. So we've been on here for an hour and 28 minutes. I'm
Man,
gonna.
it does not seem that long.
I know it doesn't. When you get to talking, it's always fun. But I'll end it with this one. I've been doing this one for a while now. But dream hunt. Anything, any animal, any species, anything.
Oh
Dream
man,
hunt.
my dream hunt would be to have my dad, my brother, Morgan, Bo when he's a teenager maybe,
Mm-hmm.
and Tom, and be able to have an elk camp out west and have a couple successful hunts, man. That just having that that fresh air. I know stepping outside into rural Indiana, there's some fresh air, but man, once you get out there, there's some fresh air
Oh, I
with the
guarantee
with
it.
the with it's just so different. But being able to have a successful elk hunt with some family out west and camp and share it all together, um, that's kind of a that would be a dream hunt, dream come true for sure.
That sounds awesome. I think you're the only person I've ever asked that, and you came back with including people in your answer. I think you're the only person that's ever done that in 70 episodes. I think you're the only person to say who you wanted to be with you, which I think is pretty cool, man.
Yeah, no, it's man, it's so much more fun and rewarding. I mean, when you share the experience with somebody.
For sure.
Um, Personally, it'd be awesome to say I went out there and DIY'd it, but
Mhm.
they wouldn't see the struggle or appreciate the struggle or any of that. Just being able to have those guys out there and to I don't care if it's me or my brother or Morgan or if Bo's slinging arrows at 12 or 13. I mean,
Oh, you
it's
know he's gonna be.
yeah, he's gonna be, but it's the backseat, it's the experience, and the success is just the cherry on top
Oh, absolutely, man.
in my
Hey, man,
dream.
I for sure. I appreciate you coming on here with me, man. It's been a lot of fun for sure.
No, it's definitely been fun. Thanks for having me on.
No problem.
Um,
Maybe it won't be a whole year before you come back on and talk again.
yeah, no, let's make it shorter than that.
We'll tell everybody where they can find you and all your stuff on socials.
Yep. Zack York on Facebook. If you scroll through my post, you'll be able to see my business page for Base Camp. I share a lot of the listings here in Indiana, some of the stuff that we do out on the farm, or just personal life videos that I think might kind of show the rural life that we're living, the outdoor life. Instagram, it's Zack York underscore BCCRE. I'm pretty bad at posting on Instagram. I'll just throw one up every once in a while. I need to get better.
Mhm.
But yeah, some of the stuff we do out at the farm again, family, Bo, just watching him grow through Instagram, I guess, stories and
That'd
stuff.
be cool.
Um, as far as the other socials, I don't have like TikTok yet or YouTube. That's in the future. But if you do have like an inquiry or question about land, feel free to get a hold of Brett or myself through social and grab my number, and I'd be happy to help you guys out.
I appreciate it. Yeah, check him out if there's anybody out there and you're in the market for some recreational property. We'll get you in touch with Zack and maybe he can help you out.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. Everybody, thanks if you're still listening in podcast land and on the YouTube. Hit that like and subscribe for us. But we'll be back again next week with episode 71. See you.
See you.